gosh. I mean, the Cowboys, it is bad down in Texas.
Just when you think they can't get any worse. You remember what I was telling you? All the sharps bet on Dallas. You remember we had Lamar on.
Yeah.
They thought that because they would run the ball with Ezekiel, Chris, that was the whole thing. What did Tony Dungy say?
Fumbled it twice
in eight touches.
On two back-to-back possessions, yes.
Right. But he had 8 touches.
Carries. Yep. You're right. Tony Dungy said they're going to start running it now. It could be a blessing in disguise.
Yes.
Yep. No, they're bad, man. I tweeted yesterday, Rob, that this defense, and I can't go through every single defense all the years I've been watching football, but I tweeted this. This could I said real talk, no lie. I think this is the worst NFL defense I have ever seen in my life.
Are you sure?
I mean, like I said, am I going through every single year, 1981, who was the worst defense, all that? Not off the top of my head, of course. But here's a little, and I didn't know this, Rob, last night when I tweeted. It tweeted during the game. But here's a little something to back me up, all right? They're in the running, because here we go. The Cowboys have given up 137 first-half points this season. That's the most that's the most in the league through 6 games. Here's the other thing. In the first 6 games of the season, Dallas has given up 218 points. That's the 4th most, Rob, in NFL history. So I'm not that far off.
Are the top 3 Lions teams that I covered in the 90s? I'm just asking.
No, I know. People were tweeting at me, the Lions, the Falcons, like I said, there's obviously been some bad defenses. But, man, Rob, teams are running roughshod over there. I mean, it's a freaking party against the Cowboys defense.
It's embarrassing. And remember, this team was picked by many.
Our friend Nick Wright
ESPN
picked them.
To go to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Yep, to go to the Super Bowl. And they're not even close to that. This team, and the other thing too, Chris, the defense is terrible, and I'm not making any excuses. Turnovers are bad. When you give up the football, you put the defense in a bad spot.
Right.
Ezekiel with the 2 fumbles. Those were turned into, I think the first 3 turnovers, right, were turned in for 21 points by Seattle.
Well, that's where the game got away from them.
Right.
And you're right in that. I mean, look, the defense is still horrible.
It is.
But last night wasn't as bad as some of those earlier games in the season. Because, like you said, the offense just put them in a horrible position.
When you fumble on your own 30-yard line.
Arizona the first 3 possessions, which I was shocked by. But, yeah, and then, like you said, they gave them the ball in their own, territory, and it was a wrap. But they're bad, man. And here's the thing. Jane Slater from the NFL Network, who's been on the show, she tweeted this today, Rob, that one Cowboys player told her this, that the coaches are totally unprepared. They don't teach. They don't have any sense of adjusting on the fly. That's a direct quote. Here's another player saying this. They just aren't, about the coaches. Right. They just aren't good at their jobs.
Wow.
I mean, that is bad. Now, look, obviously the coaching staff has been horrible. Mike Nolan, I mean, he's the defensive coordinator. This is the defense. I know they lost a few guys, but this is the defense that was ranked 10th last year. So for them to fall off the map and be historically bad, yeah, I got to put a lot of that on the coaches. Okay, and you hate to see quotes like this in the newspaper or, whatever on Twitter.
But you know what? When things get this bad, Chris, this is when guys are willing to talk. You know that. You covered the Nets like I did. There's nothing but good stories on a bad team. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
When teams are winning, it's harder to cover because there's nothing to write about. Everything's going right. Quarterback's playing well, right? It's harder to write.
No doubt.
When things go bad, finger pointing, look at that guy. Hey, I'll tell you this off the record. You could quote me off the – am I right?
And I think this, Robin, a lot of people might look at this as, the players need to shut up. Obviously, they're not playing well, which is true. They're not playing well. Some of it's on them. But I bet you, Rob, and you know this from covering these sports, these players want this out there, obviously, and they hope it makes a difference, right? Like, they're putting this out there for a reason, that they want the coaching staff to step it up, or, I can't imagine Jerry Jones firing somebody right now. Not the head coach, maybe Mike Nolan, but they
it would
want
be
something
Nolan,
to
right.
be done.
It would be Nolan. It would not be Mike McCarthy. I would be stunned by that.
Oh, yeah, no. And let's get into McCarthy because, again, yes, he's doing poorly. But, Rob, I'm going to say this. If we have to do a blame pie, and I don't want to go into all the percentages and all that, but I'll say this. The lion's share, the bulk, most of the blame for the Cowboys' horrible predicament does not lie at the feet of Mike McCarthy, who's not blameless, but it lies at the feet of the man who hired him, the man who creates this culture, Jerry Jones. Period. The end. And Rob, I was thinking about this earlier today, Rob. I was like, you know what? It's time to stop talking about the freaking Dallas Cowboys.
Good luck with that. I know,
but don't we treat them like they're a freaking dynasty?
They've won 4 playoff games in 25 years, Chris.
Oh, my
4 playoff games in 25 years, and they still get all the attention. And Jerry Jones, nobody challenges the guy. We don't agree on a lot of stuff when we talk about the NFL. I think that's where me and you argue the most, is about the NFL.
Yeah, you're probably you're right.
But on this, I agree with you. I think Mike McCarthy, yes, he is to blame, Chris. It's easy to blame him. And he's partly to blame. But this mess that is the Dallas Cowboys belongs to Jerry Jones 100%. And I'll even tell you this. When you hire a Mike McCarthy, let him pick his own staff, Chris.
Thank you.
Let him pick. This guy won a Super Bowl, Jerry. And if you're saying that this is the guy who's going to get you over the hump, give him a chance. Let him pick his own staff. He called the plays in Green Bay. I don't care how long ago it was. You remember when they won the Super Bowl over Pittsburgh? Mike McCarthy was calling those plays. Yes. Mike McCarthy called those plays. So when you go and say, well, you could have the job, but you got to keep our offensive coordinator because we like him. No.
Look, Kellen, I agree with you. And Kellen Moore, he's not bad. You know, last year, obviously, Dak went to another level as far as stats, production. This year, stats were looking good until he got hurt. But he's in his second year. And like you said, you neutered a Super Bowl winning coach.
Yep,
what is McCarthy doing? What's he doing?
But it tells you that
he ain't handling the defense.
That he was desperate. It tells you also, Chris, that maybe there just wasn't enough interest out there for him. And you make concessions. If this was 3 years after he won the Super Bowl in Green Bay, I guarantee you he wouldn't have accepted a job. You remember that happened in Cleveland. You remember they wanted them to keep Freddie Kitchens as the offensive coordinator, and they got turned down by every head coach who said they wouldn't take Freddie Kitchens on as their offensive coordinator, and that's why they gave the job to Freddie Kitchens. Because most coaches won't accept that.
Nah, you're right. And look, Jerry wanted a puppet. Let's just keep it real. He wanted to have his hands in everything, just like he always has. And he wanted his guy, Kellen Moore, and now look at them. They are a mess. And the fact is this, Rob, you mentioned the 4 playoff appearances in 25 years?
4 wins. 4 wins in 25 years.
All right. When they won the 2 Super Bowls under Jimmy Johnson, that was Jimmy Johnson, right? And Jerry didn't like it because they weren't winning his way. He wasn't getting enough credit.
Even
it was too much Jimmy. Third, right. He brings in Barry Switzer, and it was Jimmy's guys.
It was Jimmy's guys, right.
And so this is the problem with Jerry Jones. He wants to win his way. winning's not enough. Winning a Super Bowl's not enough. He wants to win his way. And that's the problem. And Rob, I'm sorry, what Jerry Jones has got to realize is that if you win, if you don't do anything but sit in that box and watch the game, you don't do your interviews, you don't do your radio show, you don't do your little informal press conference after every game in the tunnel, you don't talk with the coaching staff about strategy. If you don't do a darn thing but sit in that box and twiddle your thumbs during games, guess what? If they win the Super Bowl, he would get credit. He would get credit. I'm not saying he would get the most credit, but he would get credit. It would be under his watch, right? But he can't handle that. What's it gotta? He has to be the superstar?
Yep. He's got to be out front. And ever since Jimmy Johnson left, Chris, it has been slim pickings. And that third one, you could talk about Barry Switzer, and now they won one. Jerry knows he needs to win another one, even though he's already in the Super Bowl, Chris. Because he doesn't have the respect about his football knowledge and putting the team together. He doesn't have it. He knows it. Everybody knows it. Yep.
Absolutely. And look, I'll give them this. They drafted well. Stephen Jones, whoever it is, they've drafted well. But that just makes it worse. Because you got some talent and you still are a joke.
They got a guy there in their front office who I know, Will McClay, Chris, who's one of their guys and drafted. And you're right. The Cowboys have drafted well. That's the one thing you can say.
But it kind of makes it worse. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't talent. It's your culture. You're not getting it done. And who sets the culture? Of course, Jerry Jones. All right.